So why WAF is needed, right? So of course, it's used to protect against those common threats like OWASP top 10. Whenever you hear those buzzwords coming out of your client's mouths like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, remote code executions, right, account takeovers, like credential stuffing, you then know that, hey, what they need is just simply a WAF, right? Like recently, Log4j has gained some tractions. It's already been patched and fixed on our WAF as well. And the second one is the compliance requirement, right? So if your client is, for example, the financial institute, is like e-commerce operator, right? They need to get themselves comply with, for example, PCI DSS or SOC 2 or FedRAMP in US. They'll likely need a WAF, right, to get themselves compliant. In terms of the data protection, of course, right, just in case, your client's valuable user information data or transaction data that is exposed accidentally via some vulnerable APIs, you also need a WAF, right, to protect them. So in terms of the deployment model, totally three. The first one, everybody is familiar with, all the cloud providers provide so, is the SaaS WAF, right? So basically, we just insert a WAF in between your cloud workload and the internet. And the second one is also a common practice by all those cloud providers. When they sell the CDN, when they sell the anti-DDoS solution, they like to bundle it together with WAF because they are protecting the same kind of resource, which is the web app or web resources. And the third one, which I would like to highlight over here, is pretty unique to Tencent Cloud, right? AWS don't have that, GCP don't have that, Ali Cloud only have that partially, but we support it fully. So over here, basically the change we made to the SaaS WAF is we move the WAF away, right? Basically out of the past, make it alongside with the CLB. So the reason to do that is we can basically remove the point of failure. So just in case, for example, if you place the WAF in line and it fails, it will somehow affect your overall SLA to the client, right? And also, if you place the WAF in line, it's going to ingest all the requests, process it, and there will be extra forwarding latency being added, right? Just to forward to somewhere else, right? So we can somehow reduce the latency very slightly, help a client improve their application performance. So basically how it works, basically is out of pound, the kind of a WAF setup is, the CLB will be ingesting all the incoming requests or queries, and then going to send a copy to the WAF. WAF is going to analyze it in real time and going to tell the CLB whether to block it or allow it. So it's pretty unique. Please feel confident, right, to position this to your client when you are basically competing with AWS or GCP or Ali Cloud when it's overseas or out of China. So talking about the WAF key features over here, right? Recently, we've been ranked as top one domestically in terms of the bot management solutions, right, by Forrester. So basically, what is a bot protection solution, or what is a bot, right? So basically, there are two different kind of bots over the internet. One is considered a good bot. The other one, of course, the bad bot, right? So the good bot is usually referring to like a Google search engine, right? So basically, they're going to crawl the information out of each of the website and they're going to present it as a search engine result to you, right? So it's a legitimate one. However, those bad bot is usually referring to those like automated tool, like if you heard of the term called 鲁羊毛 or click coupon. So basically, those bots are used to take advantage of those like promotional information from certain merchants and to abuse, right, the coupon usage to gain some like financial benefits. So for that kind of bot, we need a WAF to block that. So basically, domestically, we are ranked as top one. And of course, from worldwide perspective, I think we are at least top 3 or top 5, right? So the second one is the load balancer integrated WAF. As I mentioned earlier, right, industry unique as of now. So it can help you reduce the latency, right, improve the app performance, remove the point of failures, right, sort of improve the SLA, overall SLA to the client as well. And regarding other common features like virtual patching, like Log4j, right, the client isn't ready, right, to patch on their host. However, we can patch it on our WAF, right? Basically, virtual patching is referring to that the vulnerability patches won't be done by the client. However, we do it for you, right? Tencent Cloud do it for you. And the second one is web page tamper proofing. So basically, make it more difficult for the hacker to deface your web page, right? So, and also it can help you like do some data masking, right? To mask some user sensitive data like user IDs or handphone numbers, and also the geo blocking, right? So we're able to block based on the geolocations, and also the API security, right? So just in case some of the malicious code like SQL injections code that have been embedded into the API query, we're able to detect that, block that. And also we have to make sure that all the API queries is conforming to certain standards, certain format, whichever is not allowed, right? Must be dropped or blocked. And last but not least is the AI rule engine. Basically, we combine both supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning over here. Unfortunately, our competitor AliCloud is still something on par. So in terms of capability, they are sort of equivalent to us. However, we're slightly better than AWS. So here is the competitive analysis for the WAF solution. So let's review one by one. So the first one is the geo coverage, right? So unfortunately, we have to admit that we're the least as of now. We are actively investing, improving, expanding, and they will be hearing more news, I think by Q1 next year. So the second one, CLB WAF, pretty unique, industry standard. AWS don't have that. Alibaba Cloud don't have that globally. They do have something similar domestically in China, but they don't have that globally. Anti-DDoS layer 7, pretty standard. It's like CC protection, challenger class protection. The rule and signature based engine, standard, everyone has that. AI analytics engine. So over here, what I put across over here is AWS natively from the WAF. Basically, it's not that intelligent, right? They can perform the very basic functionality in terms of, for example, deep learning, unsupervised learning, and the supervised learning. AWS requires external integration with their, for example, SageMaker in order to craft out the rules, to build the models, and etc. So basically, for the user, it's considered not so friendly, right? Not so easily deployable. Not like us, right? For us, it's just one click of the button that you can turn it on, right? In terms of the bot protection, similar, right? So AWS has something similar, but in terms of the policy definition, it's pretty manual. But for us, it's pretty automated. One click of the button, everything is there, right? API security, pretty standard. The online fraud detection basically is to detect those are fraudulent accounts. So unfortunately, we only support that domestically with the integration of a TNU, the content security module. AWS, AliCloud had that globally, right? So basically, this is the overview of the competitive analysis of the WAF solution against AWS and AliCloud. Next, in terms of ordering, right? So it's pretty straightforward, right? So for the client, they just need to log on to the ordering portal, select which instance they like, like SaaS or CLB, which tier, right? They want to subscribe. It could be Pro, Enterprise, and Ultimate. So the difference between them is the maximum QPS being supported by each of the package. So for Pro, support up to 2,005 versus 5,000 and 10,000. It has the tier pricing. And just in case that you need something in between, for example, between Pro and Enterprise, then you can subscribe this extra package in order to achieve that. Right, so one of the caveat over here, or one of the common question will be dropped by the client is, hey, I, as a client, I'm pretty much a minimalist, right? I'm a pretty frugal, so that I want to subscribe the minimum package, which is 2005 QPS being supported. However, my application always go above 2005. For example, always like be like 3,000, right? So what will be happening to those like excessive 500 queries? So basically, our rule of thumb is, okay, we allow you to basically overuse that, but not up to 100%, right? So as long as it's not exceeding by 100%, we still allow the query to pass, but it will not be protected. But if exceeding more than 100%, right, more than 100%, then the excessive query will be dropped. right? So basically, we give a sort of a buffer, which is 100% of the original one. Oh,
Hey, Michael, can I ask a quick question here?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, just now on the previous slide, you're saying the CLB WAF, right? So CLB is only Tencent product, so nobody else will have it anyway, right? So I don't know whether that is called the advantage or
Oh,
am I correct?
so yeah, so your question is whether it's considered an advantage to us, right, for the CLB. So yes, I would say yes. Cause from AWS and Ali Cloud, I believe you're also very familiar with them. That they also have the equivalent product. For example, the ALB like from AWS and also Alibaba, their own load balancer. So basically, I would say that in terms of the CLB components, I think all the vendors basically have the same. But in terms of the deployment model, it's really unique to us, right? So basically, the deployment model is referring to the out-of-band WAF deployment. So basically, the WAF will not be placed in line, ingesting all the queries. Instead, it will be put side by side with the CLV. So basically, that is our edge, right? Competing against the AWS and Ali Cloud. Yeah, so
Got it.
actually, there's a bit of a history of that because we launched this deployment model first, and then Ali Cloud see that and see the demand, and they sort of try to catch up. I
Okay.
think in late last year, they built something similar at the domestic side, but only available at the domestic side in China. I think they soon to expand it globally, but we don't have a definite timeline yet. Yeah. So
Okay.
yes, you are
Okay.
right. Yes, it's considered our advantage. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Okay, the next one is the positioning and the tactics, right? So we basically why we basically label it on a sort of a quarterly basis is because that I mean our product team or our product is constantly evolving, right? So basically they always give us all the updates on, for example, monthly basis. So over here we craft out the strategies or sales tactics also on the basis of this. Right, so over here, in terms of the sales strategies or tactics of Q1 2022, is more of a solution driven from the cloud security perspective, right? So whenever your clients subscribe for CVM, why not you just ask them, right, whether you're interested in some agent-based antivirus solution, right? Agent-based vulnerability scanning solutions or agent-based intrusion protection solutions. This is how our CWP, the Cloud Workload Protection solution, help them. And if they show interest in it, and then you can add up by saying, hey, actually, the CWP and WAF and CFW, the cloud firewall, is protecting the workload from different perspective or different vectors. But why not you take a look at the WAF, right? So basically, you can protect against like those commonly known threats or what's top 10. And also the CFW is also complementary to WAF and the CWP that provide you with a parameter-based, more comprehensive intrusion protection system. And most importantly, it can detect those like malicious communications between the compromised host and outside attacker. Right, so basically, this tree can be considered a golden triangle as of now. So if the client express any of the interest in any of the components over here, basically you can position the rest. Right, and also I believe many of you have heard someone mentioning that, hey, we need to use the right tool to do the right job, right? So in our case, we have to admit that, I mean, there's no 100% superiority of our product over the competitors, right? So definitely there's one or two feature of ours is better than our competitor, but not overall, not 100% better than them. So that overhaul, that we have to be taking a more cautious step, saying that instead of finding the right product, right, to do the right job, we try to find the right feature to fill the right gap, right? So basically, as I mentioned earlier, right, we do have some industry unique features on our product. The product might not be unique, but the feature of it is unique. We try to find the specific use cases, apply our unique feature to that, and eventually we secure the deal. Right. So basically, this is the overall strategies or tactics as of now. And apart from that, to paint the pictures, right? So I believe many of you have experienced this, that your client, right, talk to you, knock on the door, right, want you to entertain them by painting a very beautiful picture in front of you, telling you that, hey, Mr. Salesman, what I want is the world-class web application. I want the big data analytics platform. I want everything go serverless. I want no SQL. I want like MySQL, right? So basically, this is the grand picture they go to paint it to you. But eventually, what they get, it's just a static website, right? So that happens all the time. So why not? I mean, during the first meeting, during the touch base, why not we also paint a very beautiful picture back, telling them that, I mean, domestically, we have a complete security portfolio. Just in case you're interested in any of them, if the requirement is genuine, right, if the demand is urgent, right, we can basically push it out for you, right? We are flexible. The code base is already there. As long as the localization or local compliance is done, then we can make it available globally, right? Don't totally shut the door. I mean, leave it open. Basically, carry on the discussion with the client, regardless the availability of the product overseas as of now. And then will be the muscle showing, right? So show the muscles, right? Show the six packs to the client, bring up all those uniqueness of the features of the products to the client, like the WAF, right? We have the CLB WAF, right? We have the AI the analytics engines that is superior to AWS native one as of now. We have the bot management solutions that is better than Ali Cloud, right? So show the uniqueness, show the muscles to the client, and also plan ahead with the customer, right? So this is the products that's under the pipeline will be available very soon next year. So just let customer know that this products is available for example, for a POC, either on the global side or on the domestic side. And last but not least, don't forget to engage us, where we are here to tailor-make the solution for you. We don't believe one size fits all. We believe tailor-made solution for each of your clients. And of course, we are going to collaborate very closely with our product team, just in case any product pushes is needed. Okay, the last two slides from my side will be a very brief introduction of another two products will be made available by next year. The first one is the cloud firewall. It's the cloud, it's the firewall on the cloud, literally. So it can be placed at the edge of the internet. It can be placed at the edge of the VPC. It does the network-based IPS intrusion protection system. It's complementary, but it's mandatory in most of the use cases. It allows virtual patching. Basically, the client don't patch themselves, we patch for you, right? Access control, basically, that works on the east-west and north-south traffic control, and also it can action upon the threat detection, and also the threat intelligence. So basically, that is referring to the threat intelligence DB, right? Those malicious domain records, the malicious IP records. So basically, we hold the largest threat intelligence DB in China because we have the long history of 20 years to do the security in China. And most importantly, we can detect those outbound malicious communications between your infected host or compromised host with outside CNC, a command control server. And also we are able to detect those malicious domain name queries that is generated by a DGA. The other one, right, is the cloud workload protection solutions will be officially available by first half next year. So basically, it's coming alongside with the CVM, right? So it's agent-based, it's agent that is installed onto the CVM. So on each of the CVM, likely the client is going to install some of the OS. It could be Linux, those like mainstream Linux kernels that is going to be supported. And also in terms of the footprint of that, it's going to be very minimal impact to the system performance. And the agent is going to be linked to the cloud engine just in case any of the, for example, zero-day attack like the Log4j. And apart from that, we also have the support, for example, the asset inventory to give you the overall security ratings. I mean, tell you what ports is exposed, right? What process are currently running. And also we're able to detect and block those malicious files, right? Those malicious activities. And also in terms of vulnerability detection, we can detect the vulnerability on the app layers, right, on the OS layer, and also we can do the baselining based on all this industry standard and also Dongbao, right, very popular in China. And last but not least is operational perspective, right? So we give back the full visibilities into the environment, right? We allow you to look at the security logs up to like 6 months or even longer. We'll make sure that all your web pages tamper-proof, can't be easily defaced, right? So